Hello and welcome again to our individual interview segments with the Mark Tresser Trio at Atelier Musical. Because each member of the trio approaches their instrument, piano, bass and flute, in such a unique way, we thought we'd do individual interview segments with each musician. So we are starting out with Denman Maroney, who plays the piano, or as it's now become known, the Hyperpiano. Would you please show us how that works?
Okay. Well, first I want to say how I started with this. I was a student at California Institute of the Arts, and I was invited to play a composition called Kurzwellen, shortwave in English, by Karl-Heinz Stockhausen. And it's a piece in which every player divides his time between his instrument and a shortwave radio. And when he plays on shortwave radio, he's supposed to imitate shortwave radio sounds. Okay. Most people probably don't know what shortwave radio sounds are, other than just regular radio stations. But between stations, there's lots of sort of synthesized like sounds that slide around and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's very difficult to do sliding sounds with glissandi or portamenti on the piano. So I came up with the idea of using a slide like a guitarist would use. And so that's what this is. And this is a piece of copper, and it has holes in it because I got it at a scrapyard, and it was originally used for something electrical. I think these holes were for wires. And then I had it cut to size. And I use this to stop the strings. So Hyperpiano is a word I coined about 40 years ago to suggest the idea of playing the strings with one hand and the keys with the other, right? And what I do on the strings is using one of these tools will stop the strings or bow the strings or slide the strings and maybe pluck them. So that was one of the germs of it. The other is this general tendency in music to find new sounds, right? For a long time in the evolution of at least Western music, finding new sounds was about finding new harmonies, and eventually that went beyond the scale that we know to search for notes in the middle. And with a slide, you can certainly play notes in the middle. So if we start here and I play this note, and the next note here is that. But there's lots of notes between those two, and I can get them with this by just sliding along. And of course, any violinist can do the same. And then I have access to other notes of A by touching other parts of the string. So if I touch it in the middle, I'm not sure I know where the middle is, but it's about there. There it is. Okay, so that's half the string, which is twice the frequency, which is the octave. And then I can slide all the way. Okay, and that's the third harmonic. So what you hear when you're hearing that is you hear two notes going in opposite directions, representing each side of the spot where I'm touching. So, and when you talk to Mark, you'll find that he does the same thing, and he uses microphones to help him do that. So I'm making like I'm stopping a string like a string player would. Yeah. The only problem is that I don't have a fingerboard, right?
Yeah, so, that's right.
So that's a somewhat limiting factor. If I slide it around like that. So this tool, I can use it the way I just was, upright like this. I can rock it back and forth, or I can put it on its side like this. Which is useful especially because in this part of the piano there's 3 strings for each note. And so if I rotate the thing like this, you get a different sound.
Frets in different lengths.
Another interesting thing with this is, let's say I do this little bar is in the way, but Let's see if I get up here. Right, so what I'm playing is at the octave. And now if I start to rotate the bar, I'm still doing what you're hearing.
Yeah.
Right, so I made the intervals flip upside down. So that's part of it. And that's all about stopping. And then there's also bowing, like this. Which I can do slow or fast, or pressing hard or less hard. Or doing it on different parts of the string, which gets different sounds. And I can even do it from the back, which I like to do because the piano, this particular piano has a part of the frame is blocking my access to the strings there. So if I want to play in the back, I have to lift the dampers. And obviously I can't lift the dampers with my foot and be back there. So I have a chisel, which I borrowed from Patrick. And I go down here and put the chisel in. And okay, so now the dampers are lifted. And I can go back here. And go in here. Lots of possibilities there in terms of how fast I bow and what part of the strings I play and what angle I play at and so on. And this is all the standing part of the string, but in addition to that, there are these bridges in the back, and behind them are other parts of the string that I could play like this by plucking, bouncing up and down. Oh, another point about bowing is that on the piano the strings are all in the same plane, so I can't bow them individually like a violinist can, you know, who's has a curve to it. Okay, so that pretty much covers this tool. Now, and by the way, I chose copper because copper is what the bass strings are wound with, and copper is much softer than steel, which is what the higher register strings are. So that's a good choice of material to avoid doing any damage. Obviously, this kind of thing is not what the piano was designed to do. But I like it because it allows me to treat the piano as a stringed instrument as well as a percussion instrument. And then I have other tools which are chosen for the material which has a particular effect. So I have plastic tools and I have rubber tools. And the plastic tools are CD jewel boxes and audio cassette boxes. And they have tape around them because they're old. You know, this is old technology here, right? Nobody buys CDs anymore, and certainly nobody buys audio cassettes anymore. You can't even buy a car with a CD player anymore. So this I use in different parts of the piano. First I'm going to take my chisel out.
What fascinates me is that some of the sounds you generate are sounds we know maybe, again, in films or so when there's a scary moment, but it's all electronically generated and you do it acoustically.
Yes,
That's what I find
I
fascinating.
like acoustic sounds, although I have friends who can make incredibly beautiful sounds just synthetically. I can't do that. I can do this. So this one, you know, this a CD case has a little, the lid has a little lip on it, right? And that's the part I like to use. So I can slide on it like this. And I can be like on straight or on an angle, or on the other angle, or coming from the back. And I can also use it as a bow. is either with the dampers on
Yeah.
or with the dampers off. Now in that case, you're hearing just regular equal temperament, right?
Yeah.
Not big clusters.
Yeah.
Whereas up here I get, that's not equal temperament. So
I'm so excited.
this is all of this, the
Yeah.
fact that I can play like a string player
Yeah.
was a big part of how I got going working with Mark.
Okay.
He, like me, shows an interest in extended technique and
Yeah.
different tunings and so forth.
Yeah.
So that was sort of the early basis of the bond that we have. Okay, so there's that. And this is similar, same idea, but it makes a slightly different sound. And then I have a block of rubber,
Yeah.
which I can use for more of a damping effect. Just like anybody would who was using their fingers on the strings,
Mm-hmm.
but it's actually not a good idea to put your fingers on the strings because your fingers are greasy. You know, so this is preferable,
Yeah.
and I can do it up here too.
It's beautiful. I think it's going to be an incredible experience for our audience tonight. I don't
There's
think
that.
they will have ever seen anything like this.
And then I have these guys. I don't have any hair, so they're no good for that. But I use them to prepare the strings. And that was also an early influence of mine, was listening to the music of John Cage, who would prepare his instrument. And speaking of that, I used to call what I did unprepared piano. But then people started using that phrase to mean a piano that hasn't been prepared like Cage, which was not my idea. So that's how I came up with the word Hyperpiano, which I no longer use exclusively. There's lots of people who do that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Denman. I think this will add so much more color, if there's any color needed, for what you're doing to the piano for tonight. So thank you very, very much. And thanks for our online audience for tuning in. And remember, the live stream for the recording concert is open at 3 and 7 p.m. See you at the next segment.